Great question. Large DC versus reinforced DC and why? So the primary reason why you want to bring a reinforced DC is because of something called damage threshold, or DT as it's referred to. And that is basically the number that a weapon has to do in a single hit in order to kill it. So imagine you have an Axford or something and you bring a reinforced DC. It can take damage all the way until it goes down to 0. And the way the game works at that point is at 0 health, a damage control team can come by and fix it back up to plus 15%. So at 15% it works, right? And it can eat an infinite amount of damage and go back to 0 and get repaired back up and go back to 0 and get repaired back up. And that will be true until a weapon comes along that will do a single very, very large hit. And Axfords, I don't know how into the game you are, but they have a 40% damage reduction. So if they get hit for 100 damage, they only take 60, right? And the way that works out is almost all weapons in the game do less damage than that. So like high explosive missiles, 250 millimeter cannons, a lot of weapons won't get over that. So you can keep your reinforced DC and keep it repairing it alive for a very, very long time. It's especially useful on capital ships, bulk liners, Solomons, Axfords, because they get that damage reduction and it makes them super tough. The drawback to that is you only get 1 restore. Large DCs come with 2. So the long and the short of that is you always want to take at least 1 reinforced DC on a big heavy ship because it can keep you in the game. A lot of times, like if a missile strike comes by and kind of peppers you all along one side, if you have 4 or 5 large DC lockers and they all get taken out at the same time, then they'll all be dead and you'll have no restores, and you'll have like 8 restores sitting in dead modules and you'll be stuck. But if you have a reinforced one, you can kind of daisy chain and use your restores to get all the large DCs back alive and keep yourself going. Yeah, you don't want to go all reinforced. There are arguments to be made to like take more than 1, but at least 1 is the rule. And if you go all reinforced, some people do that, but then you're really decreasing the amount of restores you have total. And they cost the same point and they do the same thing. So it's really kind of, you want to find a nice balance between those two things. Great question. Yeah, so this is new Caltrop. I mean, look at it. It's gorgeous. You've got this nice breeze blowing crystals through. You can actually look at it without being blinded. It's nice. So let's see. Here is, okay, this is the same fleet we saw a little bit earlier. So it's got torpedoes, it's got beam DDs, it's got this one little Corvette. With that is already firing. Wow, this is close. How far is that? Let's see, that's 7.5. This is 7.5. So this is like 5 or 6 kilometers. That is really close. So here's this 450 Axford. It's already firing into this bulker. Let's go through real fast. I'm gonna guess this is a missile CL mixed size 2 and size 3, all hybrids. This is a rail. Is it all rail? Yeah, a rail Axford and some Pinard and jamming frigates. I mean, corvettes. Crack it over here. Okay, he's bringing his rail Ocello again, and with that is early warning plus a plasma bulker. Does that make this all plasma? Oops, all plasma. Interesting. Let's see what kind of damage it's able to do. It is a cat. This is Gur, the Destroyer of Worlds. If anyone is really super old, like, wow, what? Did it? Okay, it just managed to snipe out its CIC and it has no restores. That is an unexpected result right there.
The enemy secured zone dagger.
So Plasma absolutely able to do damage eventually. It's kind of an interesting choice to go with 2 pure Plasma. I would have expected maybe a little bit of 100 mils to be shoved on a monitor or something, but there's actually nothing here that shoots anything except Plasma. But it's definitely going to be able to melt all the armor off this Axford. Yeah. The king is dead. Long live the king. Plasma returns. We see fully black splotches coming out. Due to the distance, you can tell it's purple. As damage falls off, it should be turning to blue. Looks like I'm not really able to see it shifting to blue there. But at this range, it's absolutely melting this. So if anything else comes along, it will absolutely be putting the hurt on that Axford. Let's see, Phoenix over here. Are these the... No, these are Plasma T30. All right, this might be Task Force Garnet. Let's check the names. I don't know the names. I think it's Task Force Garnet. Oh, maybe not. He has the shuttle instead of the double tugs there. And then this is, let's see, we got some rockets, we got some plasma, we got some more plasma, and then these have got to be rocket shuttles, right? Okay, so let's take a quick look around. Yeah, it's interesting. I think I have a grand total of like 3 games played on this map, so there's not a whole lot to talk about strategically at this point. It looks like most of the fleets have kind of concentrated on this west flank here. The DDs should be getting into firing range soon. That's clearly what they're trying to do. The monitors, meanwhile, are moving forward. The best target here for those monitors to go after is this Axford. But it looks like that's not where they're going. Meanwhile, we'll go ahead and follow these S2Hs, see where they're going, and I will catch up on chat here. Yeah, so as Lone Wolf explains, you want the reinforced modules in a heavy ship, right? On a light ship, the math is a little bit different. But on a heavy ship, you want them in the path of the bullets that they're going to take. Because if a bullet hits them and say it goes down to 0 health, but they don't do that critical amount of damage to actually destroy it, say it's like a small caliber cannon. Oh, all these hybrids going through. Oh, looks like the flak was targeting something else there. And so this bulker just eats a whole bunch of hybrids there. Oh, and beams coming out. Yeah, these bulkers are a little bit too unsupported. And they're being focus fired by different fleets. So they are definitely both going to die soon. Let's see. You've kind of been sticking to that. Put birthing. Yeah, so birthing right now does nothing. Yeah, as Lone Wolf said, birthing right now, it basically it doesn't matter if your crew has anywhere to sleep after the battle is done, because poof, into the nether they go, where they don't exist anymore. One day, eventually, they'll do something. But right now, it's basically an empty box that you can put somewhere and have it explode because it has, what, like 150 health? Something like that. A very small amount. So, back to the game. This bulker is dead in the water. This one, it's hurt pretty badly. But size 2 hybrids, they don't do a huge amount of damage, depending on how you build them, but typically they're in the 900 damage-ish range, which is not enough to put a bulker down. It is enough to weaken the point defense and some other things. So when this gets hit again, it will be bad news bears. Looks like... Let's see what this Acello, Railgun Acello, is doing on this end. It should have... Oh, they're being jammed. Okay. I was about to say it should have free line of fire on all these ships that ANS has going to A here. It's within range, it's within line of sight, but this jamming is keeping them safe from being detected right now. Looks like they're just now turning to fire. So we'll kind of keep an eye out for how much damage these rails and mass drivers are able to do. Oh, this 450 Axford is starting to engage this monitor. What's on this thing again? Plasma.
The enemy secured Zone Atlas.
Yeah, it's kind of the Wild West now, with Plasma getting its 60 centimeters of burn basically restored, but you have to go into, I think it's 4.5 kilometers is the range. It's pretty close range before you get that full burn amount. Yeah, Heck PS2H is kind of an interesting, I'll say. It lives in a realm where it's very difficult to get everything that you need to have on him unless you pay just an insane price. But they suffer from low damage, and then if you turn the speed up, they get very, very expensive very quickly. They can work, but yeah. I haven't not figured out like the perfect size 2 Heck P. Yeah, lots of point and low damage, exactly. It looks like this Acello is smoking from somewhere already. I guess that one single, that one 450 came in and blew up all the bunk beds. Big sads. I'm kind of curious, actually, what's happened over here. For some reason, the DDs are backing off. And there's not really a reason for them to do that. I suppose this one did get booped a little, but it has restores available. It's certainly more than a match for these. Oh, okay. Never mind. They must have gotten hit by some plasma and the T-30s opened up on those DDs and I missed it. So they're running away from this monitor swarm. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, monitor swarm back in the game, baby. So it's not as good as it was originally because this casemate plasma now fires single shot instead of burst. And you really cannot buff them with the E-regs in order to get it so that they fire really fast. So it is a little bit slower now. They kind of pepper away. It takes some time. But the power is there now that they can burn that armor again. Back during the dark times when plasma didn't work, it was absolutely the case that that particular style of monitor with the casemate on the front and the T-30s was completely dead. So I'm really happy about them coming back. Let's see what else is happening. Not a whole lot. OSP is up 2-1.
The enemy is securing Zone Atlas.
Oh, one of those monitors exploded. Oh, that was the tug that got hammered by 450s earlier. Interesting that it actually died. Let's see. You could go with a T80 and a T30. Yeah, the only problem there is that the T80 plasma turret is 15 points more expensive, and it has less health, and it takes more power. It's just a little bit more difficult of a fit to make happen. I want to see... I'm not sure what's happening here. Just a beam destroyer and a plasma monitor are waving at each other out their windows now. Yeah, Aeon, I don't really play with any of the modded factions. I know of them, and I've seen some ships that they have. I just don't think it's really something appealing that I want to get into, considering how few... Oh, this isn't a beam destroyer. This is the interrupt sphere destroyer. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't see really the appeal in a faction that isn't going to get a whole lot of game time. Yeah, I just could... I had a giggle when I first saw this ship, Lone Wolf. I spun around to see what was on the nose, and what was on the nose was a disco. And get 'em, boys! Anyway, all right. This 450 Axford is actually doing something. Let's see what it gets up to. Oh, and a beam coming in. So the answer is going to be swiftly slaying this monitor. Meanwhile, some size 2 hybrids go into another monitor in the background there. Yeah, okay, that is dead. This one also dead, having eaten those hybrids. So a good portion of the OSP fleet that was moving on A is taken out. Meanwhile, ANS still very healthy. I'm not sure where these monitors are going, actually. I thought they were going to A. I have no idea. Yeah, Aeon Strife, that actually might have been one of my videos lamenting how a lot of the jammer game has kind of fallen off for ANS. And the reason is because people haven't caught on to using hangups at the same time. So as people kind of bring that back, so here's a perfect example, right? The positioning is a little bad right now, but if this tug, this Phoenix Flare over here, was a little bit higher and had this destroyer on its early warning radar, then this blanket that it's firing over here would be completely useless. It would do absolutely nothing. More hybrids coming out. Yep. You got him. It's dead. Even more hybrids. So this, I'm guessing that's coming out of the CL? No, it's coming out of the frigates. Or, not frigates. I keep saying frigates. It's coming out of the corvettes up there. I guess they must be just snap firing, and all of them are slamming into this already dead monitor, unfortunately. Woo! In comes the... look at that bellbird just swivel around the place. Let's see if this thing manages to get off its rocket strike. That's what it wants to do. We'll see them swivel here any minute. There they go. And unfortunately, it looks like... Okay, there the bottom rack goes. So much stonewall, so much defender fire. I hope he dumped absolutely all of these rockets at the same time. Oh, that's unfortunate. And it's already taken out by the beam. having done almost no damage to this Axford. Yeah, it was unfortunate. The bottom rocket launcher wasn't completely lined up. It's difficult with these monitors if you're very, very close at certain angles to get them to kind of converge. And the fact that, hey, Gaming Raptor, the fact that it came around and it didn't already have that order and as a hold. Hey, Ina. Wow, lots of new people coming in. Welcome, welcome. Oh, here come the escape pods. Just shooting out of the holes there. Yep, you got them, Beams. You got them. Am I being raided? Oh, okay. Well, cool. Thank you. Oh, Ina 4 raided with a party of 9. Wow. Well, we are spectating pub games right now and doing a little bit of commentary. This is the new Caltrop, which we're all very interested. Cool. Did you like it? Oh, these rockets slamming into this light cruiser here, blowing off the front of it completely. Do they have any left? Did they fire their whole load? Oh no. Oh no, is there anything left here? I think that's it. Yep. That's unfortunate. The good news is he did lock away some of these missiles, although there are restores available. It's a great game. I love it deeply. If this is your bag, there's nothing else like it. And it's really, really cool for that. Well, that's unfortunate. Because of that, this CL... Thanks, Gaming Raptor. This CL is going to be able to cap C. It might be too little, too late. OSP has at least 2 caps firmly in their hand. There's probably no way ANS even makes it to B at this point. This is kind of an interesting map, only 4 points, so the total amount that you can get at one time is a lot lower than maps with 5 points, obviously. 4 is less than 5. That's my genius take on that. But because ANS kind of played a little bit conservatively in the beginning, now they're down by just a huge amount of points, over 400 points now. All OSP really has to do is keep a 2 cap, and on a map like Caltrop, it's very difficult now. They can sit all of their fleets on this D to A approach and force them into a brawl that they might not want to get into. This CL might be able to go for the bottom for B. I mean, ANS is healthy. There's still plenty of missiles on this CL. They've destroyed a lot of the monitors. The only really fully combat capable fleet is Phoenix Plasma 100mm monitors here. But monitors are really vulnerable to some of the size 2 hybrids that this CL has Axford to. They're also vulnerable to rail fire in a kind of... Oh wait, is the rail CA still up? Yeah, rail CA is still up. But it looks like they're not being shot at right now. Kind of interesting. Haven't played around too much with slower missiles that use terminal maneuvers. Yeah, so there's a couple different ways to push hybrids in right now. Of course, the classic is just fire more missiles than they can kill with their PD. That strategy works pretty well right now. OSP doesn't have amazing hybrid defenses. So as long as you have enough to kind of push 6 or so hybrids out, you'll usually get, 3 out of 4 missiles onto target that way. Terminal maneuvers are kind of, well, they're an interesting decision. They're very good in some cases and not very good on others. Personally, I feel like the terminal maneuvers on the hybrids are a little bit of overkill right now, just with cranking up the speed a little bit or firing a couple more missiles. You can get them in that way. Then again, if you're designing something like a size 3 hybrid and it already costs like 40 points because you've heck P'd it and put decoys and just spent a stupid amount of points, what's 3 more, right? But I don't want to go too deep into missile design philosophy, or I'll talk about it for like 5 hours. And people have their own personal preferences too. Oh no! The Rail CA has decided to tangle with the Rail Acello. It's taken a bunch of plasma. Other than that, it's undamaged. And meanwhile, the Rail Acello is not having a good time at all. Let's see, is this a Sun Drive? No. It's Dragonfly Whiplash. So it looks like if this Rail Axford wants to just stick around, it will be able to eventually kill this ship. It will probably take forever, but it shall be done. And let's see. ANS really has to make some kind of move very, very quickly here. Getting out some hybrids into shuttles is probably not the play. This CL is really the ANS's only shot at taking B at this point. If it flank speeded all the way down there and captured that point now, ANS might be able to win the game. They are in 3 cap territory where they need 3s to win. Yeah, quiet cadence. Missile Stream When is kind of, for like 2 or 3 people, talking in depth about the missile system would be super interesting. But for the other like 80% of people, I feel like their eyes would glaze over as I start dragging the triangle around. And they just wouldn't care at all. It's one of those things, right? It's like explaining the mechanics of how heck P goes in. Agmi, the problem with modded matches is so few people play modded matches. I almost never see them, essentially. And I mean, if it caught on, see, the problem with mods in any game really is it's really hard to get that critical mass of people all using the same mod so that they're actually playing it. So there's like Coopier Shipworks. There's what's it called? It's like Heavy Weapons something that adds another different faction of ships, and they look cool. And I'm sure the creators spend just hours upon hours of time making them. But personally, I have only ever seen. Oops, that was some weird noises happening there. I've only ever seen like actively played 2 games where mods were involved. Yeah, but quiet cadence, that would require me to have a lot of viewers to do that. And as amazing as your streams are. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see what's going on here. All right, so I do want to pay attention to this Phoenix Plasma 100 monitors. It is the main fighting force left alive on OSP. So if it falls, everything could fall. Yeah, Gaming Raptor. Well, I did get rated, so, by 9 people. I'm not opposed to it. I actually know nothing about how to build ships for those new mods. So it could be interesting. Yeah, so one thing I will mention, and thanks for reminding me, Quiet Cadence. Is it Lone Wolf? Someone organizes every Friday night uh, something called Friday Night Fight,
The enemy securing
and
Zone
those are one of the few times that everyone is using a mod. They set it up with some kind of interesting premise, like um, there was submarine warfare, I think, where you weren't allowed to take any kind of special radars, and everyone high score. That's right, and everyone had like you could only bring a torpedo, and no defenders were allowed. So everyone was kind of like sneaking around and one ping only type gameplay. Yeah, and there's like jousting too. They do some fun stuff, but I've never played in it. I'm almost always busy Friday night. So, do missile spam loadouts use the vanilla missiles? No. The answer is complicated, but the short answer is no. Almost everyone, pretty much, if they are serious about doing something like, taking 500 missiles or whatever, they always design their own missiles. And there are plenty of opinions about what the best cheap missile is, what the best expensive missile is. There are a lot of different. See, fleets are one thing. In general, the fleets can be broken down into a certain number of archetypes, and you start to kind of recognize them after some time. I've almost never seen an identical missile come out. Like sometimes, Squales, which is a home on jam primary and then a semi-active secondary. That's like one missile that I see get used by a lot of different people with regularity. But like even if you go to active radar, some people like active radar wake. Some people prefer active radar, ARAD, or it's just there's so many different combinations and ways to build it. It's crazy. So so meanwhile, back to the game. This actual game is pretty much over. Oh, this CL did go for B, but it's definitely too late now, even after a 2 cap. These shuttles have retaken C. There's plenty of ships alive on OSP to harass and recapture whatever the ANS has. Unfortunately, the best candidate they have to split up and cap all the points is sitting right here in this trio of corvettes up here. But unfortunately, this player hasn't split them apart. One good tip, if you ever find yourself in this situation and you have scouts, these are like Pinard scouts, right? Yeah, there's a Pinard, and they have some other stuff, Maybe all their missiles are fired. Maybe they're totally useless, but they can still cap. Don't ever forget about a corvette or a frigate or something that you've sent off into the nether to just like scout or get forgotten about. In the mid game to late game, even if it has no weapons on it, just running it around the place can have a huge impact on the game. For example, if these sprinters had run down and fought these shuttles off of C here, that could be an ANS point that they kept the whole time, because there was the light cruiser there. I guess the light cruiser didn't want to dedicate. Oh, it has 10. Okay, it has 10 size 2 offensives left. So I suppose it didn't want to. Is that what's on here? The heck peas? missile is it's specifically designed to kill super heavy. Yeah, this cat is just going to keep meowing at me if I ever stop constantly petting it. And I mean constantly petting it. So when you had like battleships and just Axfords all over the place and there weren't a lot of weapons that could deal with them that were carried by light ships, that's the key, that were carried by light ships. HEC-Ps were a lot more common. Now, only ANS even has access to hybrids. So in order to fire a HEC-P, your target is going to be OSP, and they don't really have super heavy ships. I mean, yeah, you could make the argument if you fire a HEC-P and you get it to go down the length of a line ship, it'll super kill that line ship. But instead of spending, 30 missile or 30 points on a size 3 HEC-P, you could spend half that in size 2 and still blow the thing up. And the size 2s, still have a good chance of getting through. So just off the back of that. Oh, also, it feels really, really bad to fire like a 50-point size 3 HEC-P and then have an Ocello come in and jam the thing because that's a thing that Ocellos can do. That's another reason. Probably that contributes more than the fact that you don't really need them anymore. There is a case to be made for budget HEC-P. I think the cheapest you can get a size 3 HEC-P out to is, I want to say, like 22 points, which is just a super basic seeker plus not a whole lot of oomph in the back. She's okay. She's okay. Yeah. But yeah, looks like we're just ticking up the final points here. Thanks, Ina, for following. Where did you all go wrong? Should I answer this question? Snap poll. Oh, here, we'll go with this one. The enemy has more points than you do. Boom, technically correct. So yeah, Captain Chaos, that was the squale I was talking about earlier. Where that's a good missile. Another good missile are the ARAD with a backup active radar seeker. That's like a really good combo too, because it's so difficult. Hey Varmin, how you doing? It's so difficult to deal with that as an Ocello. Like the steps you have to do are turn off your radar, chaff, turn off all your jammers, and move out of the way, and then hope that the chaff gets the missile to not hit you. Like, on a hybrid, if you see it and you're like, oh, I have to do all of those things, and it's like staged, you're doomed. Looks like these DDs finally... Okay, so let's talk about this match specifically before I keep going on tangents everywhere. Definitely ANS needed to, especially with those beam DDs, they needed to ram those beam DDs into the OSP threats. There's a huge advantage to having those DDs on targets, especially against the monitors. A beam against a monitor is truly like a deadly thing. If you rush in and commit. Unfortunately, what's happened here is kind of each of these destroyers has poked its head up one by one. They haven't had all their beams on target at the same time, and because of that, the 100 mil firing AP is actually enough to penetrate a DD. So you really gotta pull off that ambush. But when they're on target, they can do terrible, terrible things to monitors. You're talking like a monitor dead every, 5 to 10 seconds. Just a gross amount of damage pumped out of those things. Other than that, it would have been nice if the Axfords pushed onto the points and capped them early. For a long time, it was 2 OSP points to like 1 ANS point, and they all kind of were maneuvering and not going in. I understand, absolutely, you know, we have perfect information, but they don't, and that can be a situation where maybe you don't want to push in, right? Oh, I have to hit ready. I can't just sit in the lobby now, or it'll never cycle through. But let's take a quick look. So I did want to see what the damage got pumped out of these plasma 100 mils. Yeah, so back to 3 to 5k ish out of each of them. That's pretty decent. I mean, I think it has always been. Oh, I can't see now. I think it's always been dragonflies on the destroyers, and I'm not sure. Can you actually double drive them? Uh, what's the points for these fleet? Oh yeah, Varmin. Sorry I didn't answer that earlier. It's community standard to have 3K fleets. I wonder if he's waiting for me to spell his name right and then answer his question. Yeah, some people run them with basic drives, but so Whiplash is not a good thing to put on a destroyer because that kills your turn rate, and your turn rate is, you know, the amount of time it takes you to line up and fire your primary weapon. So definitely Whiplashes are out. Some people were taking Raiders because of the flank improvement and also the linear thrust. Linear thrust is always good. That's what allows you to dodge. I don't think that is really a thing so much now after the changes because you get that penalty on top of the other nerfs that Raider has seen. I'm sure some people still run it, but I'd say Dragonfly, I think, is, or Standard Drive, I think, make good choices.